Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night 48 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26. It's Thursday, which means tonight is eviction night. Yes, indeed, we're going to be losing either Rabina or Chemo or Joseph. Someone's going to pull himself off the block with potentially the last AIBB arena. I expect it to be the last one. Someone will pull themselves off the block. Someone's going to go home as the last person not to make jury. We think could be some big surprise. There's supposed to be some twist coming up. What if there's no jury this year? What if Ainsley determines everything and everyone gets sent home? Whoa, wouldn't that be a kick in the pants? But I don't expect it, but hey, expect the unexpected. But we are going to have eviction tonight. And with that, a lot of discussion about who should go out the door this evening, but we got a little bit of an interruption with some videos that we think are going to come into play the HOH tonight. So we're going to talk about all that. So let's just go ahead and start talking about the feeds. We'll pick up, yesterday, I don't know, yesterday mid-afternoon or so. We've got T-Core and Angela talking, just more talk about a girls' alliance. We continue to hear that over the past couple of days as we have a vote that potentially has one woman and two men at risk. There's certainly more talk about this girls' alliance, and we'll continue to hear that discussed as motivation for or against sending different people out the door. So we do have that discussion. Later, we've got T-Core and Rabina and Chelsea talking, telling Rabina, T-Core and Chelsea are telling Rabina that Angela is going to keep her over Chemo if Joseph was to win the BBAI arena. So if it comes down to just Rabina versus Chemo, that Angela is going to vote to save Rabina at that point. T-Core is saying that they have 4 votes for her to stay. So Rabina should be good, even if she doesn't pull herself off the block this evening. She is saying something interesting. She's saying, I think it's best if we only have 4 votes in support of you so that the girls' vote isn't so obvious. In other words, we only need 4 to make sure that you stay safe, Rabina. We don't necessarily want it to be a unanimous vote and have it look close to unanimous and have it look like all the girls have come together. As long as we've only got 4 votes, then you're good and we keep it covered up. Now, apparently at one point, someone, it may have been T-Core, had told Angela that, hey, go ahead and vote to save Joseph so that it's a little less obvious that we're all working together. And Angela, I'm not sure how she handled that. But anyway, so there is talk about maybe let's try to keep it quiet for just a little bit longer. They are complaining, as you would expect when Chelsea's in there. Chelsea and T-Core and Rabina complaining about Cam giving and receiving foot rubs from Leah, getting attention from Mackenzie, just a little bit of flirting back and forth with some of the women in the house. Chelsea is still thinking that Cam may just be flirting with everyone, including her as a part of strategy. And that kind of concerns her a little bit. How much can she trust Cam, as she said, her feels versus just gameplay that's going on? All right, we've got Angela and Mackenzie talking. Mackenzie's complaining that no one has talked to her about the votes tonight, that she just doesn't know how anybody is voting. And she's telling Angela, saying, we're still a vote. Even if we're not really aligned with anyone, we're still a vote, and yet no one is really saying anything to me. Angela is warning Mackenzie, saying, hey, just be aware. Quinn is coming after you. So, you better be watching out for Quinn. And Mackenzie said, well, I'm not so worried about next week. I'm just worried about tonight. I'll deal with next week later. And Quinn's not on the block. But Angela already getting her digs in and trying to make sure that she can keep the focus on Quinn next week as the next target. Remember, Angela's safe. So she's not as worried about this evening. She's more thinking about her safety next week and going forwards. All right, we've got Mackenzie talking to Chemo. She's telling Chemo that she wants him to stay. It is so hard. There was so much discussion last night, and I never know whether they're being honest with the people they're talking to or it's just spinning them up because they don't want to say they aren't getting their vote. It was tough to see who's being truthful in some of these conversations. But Mackenzie telling Chemo that she wants him to stay. She's thinking that the vote could be leaning towards sending Joseph home right now. I think she's right on that. Excuse me. But she wants Chemo to stay at this point. Now, no, she didn't say I'm going to vote for you to stay. She just said I want you to stay. Sometimes those little differences can make a difference. But she thinks that maybe the House is leaning towards sending Joseph home. Both of them are saying that they would love to see the other person win the whole Big Brother season this season. They like him so much. So certainly kissing up to each other a little bit. Mackenzie is telling Chemo that Angela is who she really wants out. That is her target. And I believe that, Mackenzie. I absolutely do. All right, we've got Chelsea complaining to Rubina and Chemo that every time she tries to get some peace and quiet, Leah comes in telling her stories, or Cam starts getting his head rubbed. They don't have the backyard. They're all locked indoors. It's starting to get to Chelsea a little bit. House starting to feel a little small to her, especially when there's a couple of people in the house that have got her a little irritated right now. When there's someone that bugs you, that irritates you, it's hard to get away from them in that house. All right, we've got Chelsea and Mackenzie talking a little bit. Chelsea is saying that she wants to keep Rubina over Joseph. Later, she says she'd like to keep Rubina over Chemo also. So obviously, Chelsea on board with the Girls Alliance. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it could be Girls Alliance. Could just be that she thinks Rubina's better for her game. But Chelsea definitely wanting to keep Rubina this evening. She is worried that Leah may vote to save Joseph, that she's feeling a little guilty that Joseph's on the block because she's used a veto. And that may lead her, plus her conversations with Quinn or her relationship, it may lead Leah to actually voting to save Joseph. So she's a little bit worried about that. All right, we've got Chelsea warning T-Core that she saw Leah and Joseph and Quinn talking. She thinks that they may be working together to save Joseph. So Chelsea's a little bit worried that there may be some plans afoot that she's not aware of, that Joseph may have more protection. And remember, Chelsea does not like Joseph. She would love to see him go, I'm sure. Although she's talked a couple different ways also on that. All right, we've got Angela telling Joseph that she will vote for him to stay. Remember, maybe this gets back to her being told that, hey, tell him you're going to keep him, and maybe even actually vote to keep him, even if we know he's going home. Because she's telling him that she'll vote for him to stay. Joseph is saying that he would like to stay and work with her and Leah. And Angela's saying, well, why has that changed? That was different before I was nominated. And he's saying, what are you saying? And she's saying, oh, you were saying that, I was gone and that there wasn't anything to be done. And he said, I don't know. He's just kind of begging off on that a little bit. Joseph is saying it just doesn't help his game to see Angela or Leah gone. It doesn't benefit him one way whatsoever. So why wouldn't he work with her and do what he can? Because it helps all of them at that point in time. Angela later by herself tells the camera that if it's between Joseph and Chemo, she's saving Chemo. So yeah, no matter what she tells Joseph to his face, in reality, Joseph may be in a bit of danger at this point in time. All right, we've got Quinn and Joseph talking, kind of touching bases with each other. They think that Joseph has the votes of Mackenzie and Angela and Leah and Cam to survive. You only need 4. So thinking they've got MJ, Angela, Leah, and Cam. And they think that T-Core and Chelsea will vote with the House. So as long as they see that the majority is going to save Joseph, that they'll join on board as well. So Joseph should be good. Joseph is saying that he's going to start one-on-ones later, that he does feel good, but he's just paranoid being on the block. You know the way it goes. Yeah, everyone knows the way it goes. So he is worried, but he does feel like he's got the votes, and he is feeling good. But he will be starting one-on-ones a little bit later. He's questioning, and they're talking about what he's going to say, and he's a little bit uncertain about what to say if people say, so if you win HOH next week, who are you going to put up? He's saying he's a little bit in the same position as Quinn was this week, of maybe having overpromised too many people and not really having some good targets that he can easily throw out there. So he's not really sure what he's going to say if people ask what his plans are going forward. But Joseph is saying he feels pretty good at this point in time. He doesn't think there's any reason that Leah or Angela would ever vote him out. So he's got at least 2 votes right there, and he thinks he's got enough from the rest. Well, Angela's already confirmed that may not be the case, Joseph. All right, we've got Chelsea and Leah talking. They're talking about next week. Once we get past Thursday, some people are already thinking ahead. They're talking about next week that you really only potentially need 3 votes to survive a vote. 3 votes, and then you could have 3-3, a tie. HOH breaks a tie. So yeah, you may only need 3. We're losing people real quick here in this house. So talking to Chelsea and Leah again, talking about only needing 3 votes. They're thinking that they have T-Core's back and vice versa. So Chelsea, Leah, and T-Core maybe could start controlling this game a little bit if they're on the same page. Chelsea's talking about the fact that they should keep Rubina over Joseph because he could possibly win. I don't know if she's talking about win the whole season, win an HOH coming up, because he's been such a comp piece so far, right? But she's thinking they need to keep Rubina over Joseph. Chelsea is mentioning the Girls Alliance, and she's also mentioning Quinn's group of 5 to Leah, which is Quinn. oh, it seems like that's a month ago they talked about that. But Quinn's group of five: Quinn, Chelsea, Mackenzie, Cam, and Leah. She's talking about both those groups that theoretically she's associated with Leah in. Both of them agreeing that they like Cam. Nothing against Cam, but he's not their primary focus. They'll cut him if it benefits their game, that he wouldn't protect them. I think both of them more or less say, I may not be the person to vote. I may not be the person to put him up, but if I have to vote him out, it is what it is. So, yeah, Cam's kind of an associate member at this point in time for both of them. They're not feeling so tight to him at all. All right, we've got MJ and Rubina talking, and Mackenzie saying that she's got Rubina's back against Chemo and Joseph. In other words, she'll vote to save her over either one of the other two on the block. She's complaining that she's got Rubina's back, but that Joseph is telling people all over the house that she has his back instead, and that's not necessarily true. She's upset as well that apparently Joseph keeps calling her kiddo or kid. And she says, I'm a grown-ass woman. Next time he does that, I'm going to tell him. So, yeah, Mackenzie just getting rubbed the wrong way by Joseph. I think it all, well, it may have started before this, but it certainly came to a head when Joseph talked about how Mackenzie wasn't a threat because he knows he could beat her anyway. So she's not a threat. Mackenzie still remembers that. All right. With all of that going on, who's voting for who? I thought it was going to go on all night long, but we had a little break because the feeds cut away. When they come back, we find out that we've had some videos that have been played. Apparently, all the house guests called into the living room and they watched some videos on that AI screen box, whatever you want to call it. But they've been shown a bunch of videos that are likely going to be part of tonight's HOH competition, I would imagine, unless there's some other twist. But I would expect part of tonight's HOH. In different videos involving past house guests like Lisa, talk of petitions to bring back key wheels, pizzas, Amazon swine from Festi season back in 20. A lot of different variety. Sounds like they weren't real long videos, real quick little videos with a whole lot of weird information that they're all trying to remember at this point in time. The first is like every 15 minutes or so, they're getting a clip. They're basically given 1 minute call. They have 1 minute to get down to the living room to watch this thing. So at one point they're saying, well, we're just going to stay here in the living room and watch this because they're coming up so quick. I don't know that all the videos had past house guests. I don't know if they were really past house guests or AI. I just don't know at this point in time. We didn't see any of them. I don't think they showed any of them. I didn't see any of them. But they had, it's just weird stuff. For example, one of them was the message was that Pam is pissed that Goop is coming out of the BB backyard and ruining her begonias. I think a woman was wearing coveralls on the screen while it's happening. They've got other ones that people are dressed as mimes and just weird stuff. They're trying to memorize all of this. So again, for a lot of the evening, the house is studying as a result. Quinn is telling Joseph that they should go study the videos with Chelsea and Mackenzie and Cam and Leah, telling Joseph, he says, I'll come in a little bit later, but you go in there and start visiting with Chelsea and Mackenzie, Cam, and Leah. Because it'll develop some trust, not just for this competition, not just for now, not just for the vote, but going into next week as well. If you're studying with them, that shows that you're kind of declaring for them. So go hang out with them and study as much as you can. So he does that a little bit. We've got every kind of configuration you can imagine studying together. You did have at one point Angela, T-Core, Chemo, and Rubina studying together, which I think illustrates pretty well the divide it seems like we've got in this house right now. These four and then everyone else studying the other room. Leah and Angela kind of, maybe Leah a little bit between the two groups, but we've got Angela, T-Core, Chemo, Rubina studying together, Cam studying alone. Cam seemed like he really had these things memorized pretty well. Chelsea and Joseph studying, Chelsea and Leah studying, just a lot of different configurations, and they're studying different ways. Chemo has a song that he's trying to remember. Leah has something with her, each finger represents a different video, and twosies and threesies. And hey, she had her own way she was trying to explain to Chelsea. So everyone's studying a little bit differently. Chelsea is telling Leah at one point that she'd rather have Leah win this upcoming HOH rather than Chelsea because Leah hasn't won one yet. So Chelsea says, hey, if it comes down to you and I on this thing, I may throw it your way because you deserve it, Leah, and I'd love to see you get HOH. So she's feeling pretty safe with Leah at this point in time. All right, we've got Kimo at one point corrects Angela. They're all sitting around in the living room. Angela says something. Kimo says, I don't know, it's like horizontal stripes or something. I don't know, something. At which point Chelsea and Mackenzie and Quinn get up, go into the kitchen. They're saying, hey, he can't be correcting Angela. He needs to shut that down. Let's let her be wrong on some of this stuff. So they do that. T-Core later tells Kimo, says, stop correcting people. It's not your job to make sure everyone understands this. Make sure we understand it, and that'll be fine. So we do have that. All right, we've got Joseph and Kimo talking. Neither one knowing how the vote might go on Thursday. They're both on the block. They're both saying, I just don't know. We just haven't been able to figure out how this thing's going to go for certain. I'm not certain either. I really am. I keep going back and forth on how this vote could go. All right. Have-nots were over at midnight. Leah cooked hamburgers for everyone. So Mackenzie and Kimo get to enjoy the end of Have-nots by eating a couple of hamburgers, seem very appreciative, talking about how amazing the food was that Leah cooks. Leah's become the chef. Well, I guess Tucker's gone, Lisa's gone, so now it defaults to now it's defaulted to Leah. All right, we've got Quinn and Mackenzie and Leah and Chelsea and Cam all in the HOH room at one point after midnight. They're trying to figure out how they're going to vote as a group on Thursday. They can't come to any kind of consensus. Chelsea is saying that Joseph would stay over Kimo or Rubina, right? She said, right? We're going to keep Joseph over Kimo or Rubina. Well, does Chelsea really want to keep Joseph over those two? I'm not sure, but she asked that question. She's wondering. They're all wondering how Angela may vote come this evening. They're talking about between Rubina and Kimo, what would they do? Chelsea saying she doesn't care with those two. Mackenzie wants Kimo gone. Quinn wants Kimo gone. Chelsea saying Kimo will target them. So maybe she says she doesn't care, but maybe it is that Kimo needs to go. Mackenzie's thinking that they can get Kimo or Rubina to target Angela next week, whichever one is still there, assuming one of them goes home. Cam thinks Rubina would put him up. So certainly between Rubina and Kimo, it seems right now that Rubina is perhaps the safer choice. I mean, even though at the end Mackenzie's saying that or Cam thinking Rubina will put him up, everyone else seems to be leaning towards maybe getting Kimo gone. Well, and I guess Cam's too. He didn't want, Cam thinking Rubina would put him up. So maybe he's supporting keeping Kimo, but everyone else pretty much seeming like they want Kimo gone at this point in time. Mackenzie and Chelsea are thinking that Joseph is coming for the women. There's talk about Joseph versus Rubina if Kimo was to win the AIBB arena. So Joseph versus Rubina, talking about Joseph would be alone versus Rubina being better connected in the house. Leah saying that Rubina was the last woman on the wall. It certainly seems like Quinn and Leah are trying to throw out everything possible to make Rubina the target over Joseph. Hey, Rubina is the strongest of all the women in here. She was last on the wall, so vote her out. And Quinn saying, Joseph's going to be alone. Rubina's connected. Vote her out. So, yeah, these two are certainly trying to protect Joseph as best they can. The rest seem to be leaning much more towards getting Joseph out the door. Chelsea is saying that Rubina has T-Core, Kimo, and Angela working with her. Quinn is saying that Joseph will vote with the house. So again, hey, he's going to vote however we want. So why wouldn't you hold on to Joseph? Quinn is saying that Joseph was the second person off the wall. In other words, he's not a comp beast at all. He's not barely a comp competitor. So why wouldn't you keep Joseph? He can't win anything to put any of us at risk. At the end of this, and I'm just hitting some of the highlights, there were a lot more points different people are making here and there. At the end, Cam says, well, have we reached a decision? No, they really haven't reached a decision. It's just maybe going to come down to this evening. People have to have ideas. They're not just necessarily wanting to be the leader in pushing that particular idea. We certainly have Quinn and Leah doing a little bit of that. The rest of them are just kind of sitting back and seeing how the rest of the house goes before they commit too much one way or the other. So not real sure how it's going to go just yet. Eventually, with all this conversation going on, Rubina comes in and Leah and Mackenzie and Quinn all hide in the bathroom. Well, Rubina comes in. She's not in any hurry to go. Eventually, she and Cam start going over the videos, talking about those a little bit. And so now here's the other three trapped in the bathroom, not able to do anything about it. Rubina eventually gets called to the DR room, but not before these three are discovered, and they're trying to cover up. I think they said something like, Mackenzie was in the shower, and the other two were trying to prank her, and they're just passing it off as just them trying to do a prank, and that's why they were being quiet. I'm not sure Rubina's buying it, but they end up just trying to make everything lighthearted afterwards before she gets called to the DR room. Chelsea is telling T-Core that she thinks tonight is a double eviction. I don't think it is. We haven't heard anything out here, and I think we would have heard about it beforehand. So no double eviction this evening. But Chelsea is thinking that it could be tonight. Several house guests think this tonight. The house guests have apparently been told to hydrate before this evening. Now, is it because there's a physical endurance type competition, a slip and slide competition, a pressure cooker type competition? It could be, but also according to the weather, LA is supposed to be like 106, 107 degrees today. So it may just be a simple matter of production knowing it's going to be dang hot outside. So drink as much as you can. If they hydrate well, pressure cooker could be a little rough for some of these house guests, right? But yeah, they've been told to hydrate to really make sure they're prepared for this evening. All right, we've got T-Core asking Leah about the votes, and Leah saying that everyone's telling her they're just going to kind of wait until after the BBAI arena and see who the two people are on the block before they've officially decided. So they're just going to take those 2 minutes between the end of AI Arena and the vote to figure out what they're going to do. So yeah, Leah not giving a whole lot of information to T-Core. T-Core is saying that Rubina, she's hearing people talking, and it seems like Rubina might be okay, but not so much Chemo, that he could be in trouble depending on who ends up in those seats this evening. T-Core is also saying that Joseph has just been rubbing people the wrong way in the way he's been talking and acting here for the past week or two. And basically saying, that's kind of a reason, isn't it, that you get rid of Joseph? But Leah saying, well, no, maybe that's the reason that you keep Joseph. If he's got everyone mad at him, hold on to him for a little bit later. So T-Core certainly trying to save Chemo or Rubina, putting the target on Joseph. Leah doing just the opposite, trying to protect Joseph at this point in time. As far as the videos going on, tough to keep track of them. At one point, there's talk about, hey, if they do 10 per hour by 7 o'clock this morning, we're going to have 100 videos we have to study. It did not go that long. I don't know what the final count was. By 1 o'clock or so, there were probably 30 to 35 videos, I think. I know at one point, Chemo was talking about video 33. And so, yeah, they got at least into the 30-somethings worth of these videos. T-Core has prepared, I talked about the way people are studying. T-Core has prepared a Q-tip board that she's using to help keep everything together. Our little inside scoop, during my season, they had bird calls all night long that we had to try to memorize, right? Crazy. And then they didn't even use it, but for us, it was bird calls. I figured out a little study method. We had talcum powder in the house. We had these ice chests that were used as props. I poured a bunch of talcum powder in the bottom one of these ice chests, and then just used my finger to write words, to try to write the different bird calls and when they occurred and stuff, to try to keep track. So I was kind of using writing, which Big Brother didn't like. They called me out, said, you got to erase it immediately or you're going to get in trouble. Fine, I don't want to get in trouble. So I erased it, shook it up. I can etch a sketch, shook it up. Everything went away. But yeah, I thought I had a good study method. Not so much according to Big Brother, but hey, I had it for a little while. But yeah, T-Core's got a Q-tip board that she's using to study. Everyone continues to study a little bit. But the videos did slow down from midnight on or so. It started slowing down midnight, 1 o'clock or so. Eventually they went away. T-Core is complaining to finish off the evening. T-Core is complaining to Rubina about Quinn, saying that she hasn't talked to him much because he made her upset with some of the stuff that he's done in the past week. And maybe she needs to talk to him a little bit because it just hasn't happened so far. And there you have it, guys. Lights out about 4 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. Everyone getting ready for this evening. And still no decision made about who the vote's going to be. My guess, based on what I did here last night, if Joseph does not win BBAI Arena, I think Joseph goes home. I think people are just spinning him up, saying that he's safe. I think Joseph very much could go home. If he manages to pull himself off the block, wins BBAI Arena, it's between Chemo and Rubina. I think at that point in time, Chemo goes home, Rubina stays, and the Girls Alliance kicks into full gear. Well, we're going to see who wins HOH. It depends a little bit on that. But certainly, if one of the two guys heads out the door and we've got 6 women, 3 men, I think that's only more ammunition, more momentum for this women's alliance to actually form and really start having some things happen inside this house. We will find out. So, guys, have a fantastic Thursday. Looking forward to this evening, seeing not only who goes home, but also see who wins the HOH following. If it is questions and answers, I expect we'll have an answer. I don't know if it'll be during the show. That may be a little too much to ask. If not, soon after the show. So we should know by tomorrow morning. So I will have that information for y'all then. Until then, have a great one, my friends. SKD143. Cheers, my friends. Enjoy your Thursday. Tonight's eviction night. Y'all have a great one. Bye.